What's up, everybody? Welcome into a special edition of the Wolfpack Fantasy Football Podcast on a Thursday night. I'm your host, Dylan Clemens. Here with me, as always, are my two co-hosts, Michael Plant and Ike Bonnie. What's going on, fellas?
Not much. Merry Christmas, fellas. Or
Yeah.
Merry Early Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays. This is a nice Thursday night football game we got going on so far, right? 13-3. Jacksonville leads in a monsoon, it looks like.
I mean, we didn't think that when the schedule first came out, looking at it,
No,
week
definitely
16,
did not.
Jags, Jets.
Christmas week, thinking that we're gonna get just. And by the way, how is this in New York? And this is the one place that's getting decent, warm-ish weather. It's like 40 degrees out. You know what I mean? Where we got.
It's still not decent weather.
It's true. It's raining.
It's like 40 degree, or it's 40-mile-an-hour winds, and it's raining, bro.
I would still take that over what we got going on over here right now, or what the Browns are going to have going on in Cleveland, or what the Bears are going to have on Sunday, being in -11, and the Cleveland Browns -18 and 80-mile-an-hour winds and stuff.
We're -4 right now, Dylan.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal out there right now.
Yeah, it's not good.
But yeah, guys, we're here to talk Week 16 game previews, and it's fantasy football semifinals. Let's go! I can't believe we got two more weeks. Well, this week and one more. It's kind of crazy that this it's come and gone so fast.
It's time to get excited, boys. It's time to win some money.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. But before we jump into our games, like always, please hit the like button. Please subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. And the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel, and head on over to fantasysixpack.net/plans and check out our memberships. What better time than now to join up right before your championship and in your semifinals, guys? Come in, answer us any questions. We'll answer anytime. I promise somebody will be there to answer. But without further ado, guys, let's jump into it. And remember, pretty much the main slate of games is on Saturday this week, guys. So just remember that. There's only 3 games on Sunday.
Which, if you're anything like me, is Christmas Eve, guys. I keep thinking it's Friday for some reason, but it's Saturday. It's Christmas
my
Eve.
Days are all messed up this week too, dog. I feel you. But our first game the first game we got here is the Atlanta Falcons at the Baltimore Ravens. Ike, let's start with you, man. I know you got a ton to say tonight. What are we doing with the Falcons skill players now after we saw what kind of Desmond Ridder was made out of in his first career start? Where are you thinking?
He didn't really look great, but he did target Drake London, which is what I thought.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the one guy. And a little bit Tyler Algier. He looked good, but you're versing the Ravens, who have a good defense. It's going to be raining and cold. I'd probably lean to not starting anybody from them.
I mean, Tyler Algier kind of intrigues me a little bit too.
You're in a deeper league, because the running backs suck.
Yeah, I agree, but I feel you can't even really use Cordero Patterson. He's not a whole lot of fun right now. Mike, you got anything or no? Can we just move on to the Ravens offense? But there's not really
even the Ravens offense sucks too.
Either. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not really excited about it, but the weather's really putting a hampering on everything.
I know. Like, you're literally looking for games. Like, when I've given start-sit advice this week, I'm looking at the weather updates and saying, oh, this guy's in a dome. Maybe I'd start him over freaking Deshaun Watson this week because he's 60-mile-an-hour winds, stuff like that. Like,
nobody should be starting Deshaun Watson.
No. Who did they play? Who's the other quarterback? I mean, nobody's starting Andy Dalton anyways, but yeah, so bad example there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am in a super flex.
Yeah, that's not ideal. But Mike, let's quit.
You don't have like another receiver you could play instead of him?
Marquise Goodwin.
Never mind.
Yeah. I actually, to be completely honest, I did put Marquise Goodwin in for half the day, and then I looked at it again. I'm like, yeah, I should probably roll with Dalton.
It's not bad because Andy Dalton can easily get a solid 5.
Yeah, he could. That is true. But jumping into the Ravens things, guys, I think J.K. Dobbins is warranting a start after what we've seen the past 2 weeks. It's been nice from him. But what do we do with Mark Andrews, who it seems like he hasn't had a good game in 6 weeks?
Longer, maybe.
Maybe is he playing with something and they're just not saying it? But he's, we've seen. I know we've all seen him drop a couple passes, like just gimmies, one in the end zone, and then we saw one last week that was just brutal. Like, is he still lock it in and set it tight end, or are we kind of past that point, Mike, now that we're in the playoffs?
I mean, with the tight end landscape, you know how it is. Everybody knows how it is. Guys, if you're new to fantasy, it's not good.
There's like 4 guys you could trust.
No,
yeah,
but he's
I mean,
maybe.
supposed to be one of those guys, and he's not.
Yes,
Which is fine.
that.
That happens to every tight.
It
happens
does.
to tight
Not
ends every
everybody's
year.
Kelsey. Not everybody's Kelsey. You can't go on a 6-year streak of being the number one. He got his one. He was on top of the mountain last year. It's not going to happen again this year. The injuries are just not working in his favor
until Kelsey retires.
I don't know. I mean, he may in the future, but it's not going to happen this year. Because the thing is Tyler Huntley's not hyper targeting like he did last year. I mean, I'm not comfortable doing it, but you got to start him the last 3 weeks. He's still 5th in targets for tight ends at 20. All right. And overall 3rd on the year for tight ends. So it's not fun, but you still have to start him.
He's 3rd tight end. That's brutal.
I was actually thinking this in my head about would you have started
That's
Evan
good call
over Mark Andrews? Yeah, that is an awesome call, Albert, working out so far.
It's hard to bench him. I mean, you really got to have the cojones to put Evan Ingram in over Andrews.
Yeah.
Especially with the weather that was going
through. That's how you win, man. That's how you win.
Even with the weather, though.
Yep. We got the next game here. We got Detroit Lions at the Carolina Panthers. Ike, are we trusting Goff outdoors in this matchup?
It's also a way. Mike LaPlante said last week on either the Sunday Social or one of them that Goff away from home is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
So it's like Big Ben his last year in the league. The away home stats are brutal.
But Carolina is actually supposed to have good weather this time, so Goff has a shot. With all the other quarterbacks being in some bad weather games, he might have to end up being a starter in 12 teamers or super flex for sure.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, I think do you happen to know where you have him ranked this week? Do you have him ranked as a top 12 guy?
No, it's not top 12.
I was going to say, which means you don't trust him.
But the other guys have weather concerns, but you have to wait till you know more about it.
For sure. We're not really trusted DeAndre Swift, Jabal Williams. You could plug him in still. He's probably gonna fall out of the end zone here and there.
But he's been pretty rough the past couple of weeks lately. His thing is that he's getting touchdown dependent, honestly. The volume's definitely not there like it was when Swift was hurt. Swift's kind of gotten acclimated more, but that's all I can say. Amon-Ra St. Brown, which I know you're gonna jump into next. You're starting him even with bad weather. But I mean, DJ Chark, you can't really start consistently. I know you want to put Jameson Williams in there, Ike, but you can't do it. Not yet. Well, I know you do. I know you're a big Jameson Williams.
Oh, yeah, but his role is still DJ Chark still has his role, so
yeah. And you don't even want to start him.
No.
Jumping over to the Panthers side of things, DJ Moore, flex play, borderline wide receiver 3 if you want, but it's not great. They just don't throw it a ton. But really, the biggest thing we should talk about here is the backfield, Mike. And what are we going to do this week with Deontay Foreman or Chuba Hubbard?
I mean, Foreman is still going to be my answer for this one. I know he's been kind of plagued with a little bit of, injury, bad luck here. But the volume points towards him over Chubbert, 56 touches the past week for him compared to Foreman's 40, compared to Hubbard's 41. Hubbard did get the touchdown, which obviously is going to inflate his value. And I mean, congratulations, Hubbard has 6 targets to Foreman's 0.
Yeah.
So it's not really a big advantage there. So I'm leaning more the volume with Foreman. But honestly, we've seen this. If the game script doesn't go in their favor, you really don't want to start either of these guys.
Lions rush defense has been good though lately.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
This game script's probably not going to go in the Panthers' favor.
No.
Detroit's pretty good.
Evan Ingram
playing for a playoff spot.
It's that's wild, man. Carolina's battling for a playoff spot too, Ike, because of that really good NFC South division.
Really good.
But the next game we got here, another brutal weather matchup. Buffalo Bills at the Chicago Bears. Like, who from the Bills do we want to start with the weather? Is it anyone really outside of Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen? Because you know it's going to be windy. You know it's right. Soldier Field's right on the lake, so there's going to be lake effect snow if it's still snowing on Sunday.
You're going to want to start the running backs then.
Yeah.
And then Diggs. You do not...
Yeah,
please do not start Gabe Davis in this weather.
Yeah, it's tough.
You are literally hoping for a deep play or some dude to slip and he'll be wide open. I don't see him getting any other production.
You mean it's going to be bad weather? Good chance people slipping around everywhere.
The good thing about it being bad weather, though, is it could mean that this game could stay close, which could make most of the players.
No, Bears have been playing teams closely.
That's what I mean. They've only got blown out. They've only got blown out one time, and that was against Dallas. So. They're doing what they're supposed to, keeping games close and losing. Good job, boys. Good job.
To get Will Anderson.
But yes, sir. Or what's that guy? Javon Carter from Georgia, right?
Yeah, Trayvon. It's either Trayvon Carter, Traylon. I don't know.
Yeah,
Jalen.
I'm good either way.
Move on. You're talking about defense, and you're talking about somebody in college.
We're IDP friendly, man. Let's go. But we're talking about the Bears, Mike. So let's just jump in. It's Fields and who? Montgomery. Khalil Herbert might be activated too, so it's gonna go back to a little bit of committee. What are you thinking?
Well, before I go forward, I just want to put this up there. Congrats, Albert, for having the cojones to do this.
We already seen that.
Pulled it up, Doug.
Oh, I didn't even see that. That's my bad.
We were talking about it.
I will give you a double congratulations. Because, I just didn't expect that. But, even with Khalil Herbert coming back, I don't trust him coming off IR. It's just Monty. He's got 55 points in PPR the past 3 weeks. You want to guess what running back that is? Running back 7. You took
8.
too long.
I was gonna say 8.
That's your fault for taking too long. I'm sorry. You think slowly. It's just Monty. Claypool. He's gonna be coming back. That's nice for Fields, but I don't trust it.
I thought I saw Claypool as doubtful.
I have. You know what? It's very well possible. I'll double check for you.
I think it's Fields and Montgomery for me. Ike, is that the same for you?
Come at.
No.
Why?
No.
Why?
Bills are good against. Bills are stingy against tight ends.
But what? I mean, there's you can only play a certain amount of tight ends. He's a top 12 tight end.
It's true.
He only got 5 targets last week.
Yeah, but that's normal for a tight end.
Would you rather start him or Juwan Johnson?
Juwan Johnson.
Why? It's gonna be
Juwan Johnson gets touchdowns.
Same thing.
Juwan Johnson gets touchdowns.
Komet does too.
No, when was his last touchdown?
I don't know, but he has like 4 or 5 on the year.
But look at that professional segue, guys. Jumping right into the next game, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Cleveland Browns. Since we're talking about Juwan Johnson already, you have no Olave, you have no Jarvis Landry. He was actually placed at IR, so his season's done. And it's Kamara. That's about it, right?
Yeah.
You got what is it? Rashid Shaheed? Is that the rookie?
Yeah,
no.
I have seen he's been being talked about on waiver wire stuff. He's not.
But why? When it's going to be
Olave was ruled out. Jarvis Landry's on IR.
I don't care.
He's a big play guy.
I mean, I didn't care that Brandon Cooks was in Houston with Davis Mills throwing him the ball, but you know what? They had to throw the ball. And they had to throw it to somebody.
What?
Nobody liked Brandon.
Okay.
Dylan knows what I'm talking about. Apparently, you can't remember 2 years ago when Brandon Cooks was just like ashamed in fantasy football because he was on the Houston Texans after they just traded Deshaun Watson.
And then he saw like 130.
Exactly.
Targets.
Somebody's got to throw the ball. Yeah. Somebody's got to catch the ball.
Yep.
So if Rashid Shaheed's the only guy there, I mean, somebody's got to catch the ball.
I really like Kamara in this matchup against this not very good Cleveland run defense, to be honest with you, especially with the weather being brutal. He's going to catch dump offs left and right, man. He's got
That's
a solid
more of
matchup
anything
here.
that I like. I think Cleveland knows that they're, with the weather, people are going to try to be running the ball. And I think Cleveland will stiffen up on that. But I think the PPR value is where he makes his hay that day.
Sure. And then jumping into Cleveland, It's not. You're not starting Deshaun Watson in this weather, guys. Just don't do it. But hear me out, guys. What do you think about Kareem Hunt this week with the same thing with Kamara catching dump offs? What do you think about Kareem Hunt maybe seeing the same thing in this Cleveland offense this week, making him a viable starter? Mike, what do you think?
No, way to totally just pivot off the question.
That's a better question.
It is a better question. I'll give you that. I will give you that, and that's why I'm going to answer it. Past 3 games, he has getting more targets than Nick Chubb, which whoop-de-doo, we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah,
it's only 2 though.
Sure.
He's gotten 8 targets the past three weeks, which is not, like what he used to be. So I really don't think Kareem Hunt is startable here. I think Nick Chubb is. I think he's got a good matchup here. Good weather. I love Nick Chubb in this matchup. I kind of like Donovan Peoples-Jones just because of the fact that he seems to have more chemistry than with Watson than Amari Cooper. He is. I lost it here. He has, 16 targets, 19 targets the past 3 weeks. I mean, granted, that's inflated by week 14 with 12 targets. But even before then, he had 19 targets the previous 3 weeks. So it is somewhat of a consistent, stat line there. So I think DPJ is all right. And Amari Cooper, if you have a better option, start him over Amari Cooper. But you got to ride with Cooper unless you don't have a better option. That's the unfortunate thing here.
Yeah, I tend to agree there. Our next game, we got the Seattle Seahawks at the Kansas City Chiefs. Ken Walker maybe still be a little bit hampered with that ankle injury. Is he still a must play, or are you kind of shying away from him this week?
I wouldn't say a must play if you have better options, but he should be started.
Ken,
RB2 flex.
Since they're playing the Chiefs, would you start him or would you start Jerick McKinnon / Isaiah Pacheco, whichever guy you think's leading that backfield?
I wish we can combine them.
Yeah, right. Let's see. That's
a tough
one, man.
We got Jerick.
I'd probably do McKinnon over Walker, but Walker over Pacheco.
We will create the first ever Jerick Pacheco.
Yeah, with Tyler Lockett being out as well, that obviously opens up more targets for DK Metcalf and maybe Marquise Goodwin, Mike. Like you're talking about having to plug him into your super
Noah Fant.
Noah Fant. That's
for days.
The big one.
Yeah. Let's go. You want to talk about Noah Fant for a second? Go
Not
ahead.
really, but we can.
I don't really want to talk about those
He gets some targets at least.
Top 12 guy this week?
He had 6 targets last week. Previous week he had 1. This is why I don't want to talk about tight ends. But then the week before that he had 5. So there's some inconsistency here. But he's got a good matchup. Not necessarily in the matchup versus tight ends, a good matchup in game script. Because
and just the fact that Lockett's out.
Yeah, you get Lockett out, which opens up just a little bit more targets for him. Kansas City is, we said this about Houston, but we expect Kansas City to be up on them. All right. I don't expect them to go in overtime with Seattle. It may happen. Seen it with Houston. But so that opens up a very good negative game script for Noah Fant to possibly get some more, up to maybe 9 targets in the game.
Yeah. Jumping to the Chiefs side of things, Mike, we were just talking about this backfield. Whose is it?
Yeah. Yes and no. Well, that was the answer.
I think it'd be both.
Question. Yeah, it's both. That's basically what I said, just in the different form of what the question he asked. It's both because Pacheco leads the backfield in rushing attempts the past 3 weeks over McKinnon, 42-24. Pretty big.
Just needs to get in the end zone.
That's 18 rushing attempts difference right there. But if you look at the targets, McKinnon's got 19 targets, 17 catches, which is, if you count it, 41 total touches to 42 for Pacheco. So McKinnon's getting all the PPR work. He's getting the red zone work, which is really
why I choose him over Pacheco.
10-3 touches the past 3 games in McKinnon's favor. There is a trust shift here with Pacheco. I don't think Pacheco is exactly, and they're getting into the playoffs here. Maybe it shifts going into the playoffs, when fantasy ends. But right now, it's McKinnon's backfield for the high priority touches, and you're playing Pacheco kind of like a Dameon Pierce on a higher octane offense.
Yeah,
Dylan, is it Jerick Fresh Legs McKinnon now?
I think it is. I'm not sure why, but
Jerick Zombie Legs McKinnon, because they're now reanimated.
He's back.
He's back.
Let's go. Jumping into our next game, we got the New York Giants at the Minnesota Vikings. We like Daniel Jones in this matchup against the soft Vikings defense, right?
Please say yes.
He is my quarterback 12, so yeah, I would start him over. I would have started him over Trevor Lawrence. I would have started him over Jared
Trevor
Goff.
Lawrence ain't doing bad tonight, considering the circumstances.
I'm assuming now the
situation.
scoring's gonna come to like a halt.
Yeah,
it has. Yeah, the Jets' offense looks like.
But in that first half, man, he was cooking a little.
Yes,
bit.
at first it was like, okay, it might have been a bad idea that we sat most of these guys, but it turned out well, except for those who sit Evan Ingram. That was bad. But enough about that. I still think Daniel Jones should be started in 12-teamers. Versus Minnesota, who looks brutal on defense.
Yep, I 100% agree with you, man. And you're starting Saquon, and you can start Darius Slate, wide receiver 3.
Yeah, you can.
With some upside catching big plays. It is what it is. He's the option there. And Daniel Bellinger, hey, tight ends are screwed up. Maybe if you want, go for it. Minnesota, jumping over to the Minnesota side of things.
Oh, Lord. Whew, Minnesota, yeah, they do. I just looked at it. They allow the most fantasy points overall to every position total.
And it's just so soft. They play so
by
soft.
About 2 points.
Yeah,
they were saying in that last game, they're like, look how soft they're playing on the Colts. That's what it was.
Yep. But Mike, jumping over to the Vikings side of things,
Can we just talk about the offense? Yes, it's fantasy football. We can.
Is KJ Osborne taking Adam Thielen's job?
Finally,
I'll just phrase it like that.
Well, I mean, that's an odd way to phrase it. I wouldn't say he's taking his job because Adam Thielen has a very unique job. He's a touchdown guy. He's a red zone. He's a touchdown. He's a third down type of guy. He's kind of a security blanket a little bit, not the volume security blanket you come to think of today, but it's definitely Osborne. That's the guy you want to be starting over in these two. Over the past 3 games, he's got more than Thielen. Thielen has 18 targets, not great. Osborne has 24.
16 came in one game.
Easy.
Yes. Take that with a grain of salt. But this is, again, the more alarming stat here. More red zone targets than Thielen. 5-4, and also tied Jefferson because Jefferson has 5 as well the past 3 games. I mean, Thielen's even behind Hawkinson in red zone targets and total targets overall, with Hawkinson having 23 the past 3 games. So Thielen's kind of taking a back seat to it, and I think they're maybe saving him or whatnot for the playoffs. But Thielen, I guess if you're desperate, you could play him. I would veer away from him and be playing Osborne.
You'd start Osborne over him?
Yes.
Okay.
Although, temper expectation, Giants are 8th best against defending the slot, which is where Osborne typically plays.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just curious. I wonder if he's going to be like the number 2 target leader now for this team moving forward.
I still think that's Hawkinson.
All right.
Right now.
All right.
Because like I said, 16 targets one of those games. You take that away. I mean, obviously that's a big game, but it's.
This is what Osborne did last year around this time.
Mm-hmm. Hawkinson has been consistent since he's gotten there, where Osborne has been a little bit more boom or bust. Sure. But I do like Osborne just because of the fact he's getting more red zone targets. And this is a good offense, which means, decent amount of scoring opportunities. And I think Osborne can easily, get a touchdown and make it, a hit.
Agreed. Starting him in Scott Fishbowl this week. So let's go. I don't want to leave him on my bench like I did last week. It totally just feel like a jackass.
I mean, you advanced, right?
Yep. Let's go. Final 500. Next game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the New England Patriots. Should we be worried about Mixon here? Is he going to be the guy in this offense that they take away, since they're probably not taking away Higgins and Jamar Chase in the passing game?
I mean, they don't necessarily have to take him away. They're kind of easing Mixon-ish back into his role since coming back from injury. They still like to use Samaje Perine, which is kind of making Mixon hovering around the low-end RB2 range. Even worse in last week's.
We like to hear, man.
Even last week, he was RB32. He still should be started because it's Joe Mixon. He could get in the end zone. He can get the targets. And Running backs
Really
are kind of brutal right now.
Really good offense as well.
But I would temper your expectations a little bit. Don't expect a 20. That's for sure.
And New England's defense is solid, especially up
These
front.
next 4 games for Mixon's tough.
Yes, they are.
New England, Buffalo, Baltimore.
Ooh. Pretty brutal, man. Pretty brutal stretch there. How do we feel about Tyler Boyd? I want to say Hayden Hurst still out. We've seen him do a few things here and there. Do we like a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4? Or flex territory, I mean?
12 teamers, for sure.
Would you start him or Osborne?
Osborne.
Yeah,
I think that game could be a shootout.
Tyler Boyd only had 5 targets last week. 1
saved by a touchdown.
5. Yeah, so I mean, it's T. Higgins and Chase there, and it kind of, I mean, it's like a mix of Jefferson at 1, and then you have like Hawkinson with sprinkle in of Osborne. So it's kind of like a mix there, where
so it's gonna be
Tyler's 3.
Osborne should see more targets, I'm assuming.
Most likely after that performance, you would think so.
Yep.
Jumping over to the Patriots side of things, we saw Mondre blow up last week, even with an ankle injury. Outside of him, though, Mike, in this offense, is there really, is there really anybody you feel comfortable starting?
Well, I know we talked about this, Dylan, on the last call podcast, but I can't believe we almost are going to go through an episode and not talk about what happened in this game against the Raiders with the Patriots last week, how it ended.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I heard somebody call it the ludicrous lateral, and I like that name. I think it was I can't remember her first name, but it was on Around the Horn. Her Courtney Cronin, I think it is.
That's right.
But she said she called it the ludicrous lateral. If you didn't see it, Ramondre Stevenson got the draw. Jacoby Myers then got the pitch from Ramondre Stevenson.
I already know why it's called that.
And Jacoby Myers ran about 6 yards backward and then threw the ball to Chandler Jones, and the Raiders scored. So basically, the reason I'm recapping this is because I was going to say Jacoby Myers. You could probably get away with starting him because the volume's been consistent. It's been sturdy. It's not great, but it's been, consistent. But after that, kerpuffle, whatever you want to call it, what he just did and gave away the game, I want to say that Bill Belichick is probably going to reprimand him in some way. It's old school like that. And I don't think
the ruler.
I don't think he's going to get benched, but I don't think he's going to be involved.
Malcolm Butler got benched in the Super Bowl for who knows what. This dude caused Bill Belichick a playoff spot, possibly. He's probably he's lucky he didn't get cut.
So you're starting Ramondre. I mean, I don't even want to start Hunter Henry if you're desperate at tight end. There's not enough volume.
He
busted against Arizona, the best matchup you can have. So Jacoby Myers was my one guy that if you're desperate, go ahead, throw him in. But I really don't want to play him. So really, outside of that, there's nobody.
Sure. Next game, we got the Houston Texans at the Tennessee Titans, and this is probably going to be the fastest game preview we've ever had. It's pretty much Chris Moore. You can start him, I guess, if you want. And he had 8 points last week. He's probably going to be the lead target guy, but Brandon Cooks is back, I think. He's off the injury report. Sounds like he's going to be a go, right?
Well, if Cooks is back, Moore should not be started.
Why? Because Nico's ruled out, I think.
Yeah.
From what I saw,
a lot of I think. We don't know much about
I was looking, and the reason I say I think is because I was looking at my actual fantasy team, and I actually dropped Nico because he was projected as 0, which meant he was either doubtful or out. So that's why I said that. So I'm checking that right now. But so
Chris Moore had a solid matchup last week. Only had 8 points. Why would he do better in this matchup with Brandon Cooks back?
Takes the best guy off him. The best corner.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe that helps a little bit. And Tennessee,
Davis Mills has been humming in this.
We've already spent too much time talking about this.
It's supposed to be quick.
Tennessee's secondary is not great either.
Yeah,
and they give up some yards to wide receivers, so that's kind of why we needed to mention it.
Nico Collins was ruled out with the foot for Saturday's game.
And then jumping over to the Tennessee things, obviously it's Derrick Henry season. It's playoffs. He's going to carry you to fantasy championships like he does every year. But what the fuck else does this offense look like with Malik Willis most likely at quarterback and maybe for the rest of the season? This is
I don't
awful.
think Tannehill's playing this week.
It sounds like he said I saw an update that said he could be done for the year too.
Yeah, I keep seeing that, but I haven't seen anything official yet. Just basically out for this week, at least. That's official. Moving forward, it's possibly out for the rest of the year, but it's not good. No, I mean, I like Treylon Burks with Tannehill. He was showing a little promise there. He's still battling coming back from that concussion. He got clocked pretty hard. But outside of Derrick Henry, maybe Okonkwo, you can get away with it because rookie QBs like the tight end. But even so, Malik Willis didn't throw it a lot when he started the last time he was in. It was only 12 times, I believe.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of volume here if you're, a pass catcher in Tennessee. If you're a Derrick Henry owner, you love your life.
They should run like the 46 defense on him. Just have like 9-10 people in the box.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt.
Beat us, Malik Willis. Let's see what you can do.
Just an update on this game, guys. It's 16-3. Jacksonville lead, and Zach Wilson has been benched, it looks like.
Did they really put in
Severin? Yeah, or whatever.
No, Strevler.
He's
Strevler.
Yeah, he can run a little bit. They've kind of been running the option with it. It looks like he just hit one of the backup tight ends on a seam route, which was a little bit nice. They're moving the ball better than they have been with Wilson all games. So, so Zach Wilson might be done for the night.
I missed that update. That's upsetting to me.
They probably just thought he was coming in just to run the ball, you know what I mean, for a play or two. But yeah, it looks like he's taken like the last 5 or 6 snaps. So I think Zach Wilson's bench.
We got a new Taysom Hill, boys.
First reported here. First reported by me. You didn't get an update, LaPlante.
You didn't report anything. You just looked at the TV.
Next game, we got the Washington Commanders at the San Francisco 49ers. Toughest matchup against running backs. And Washington has 2 good running backs. Are we sitting both of them this week, though?
Yep. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
49ers are brutally tough against running backs, man. They stop almost all of them. So, yeah.
They haven't allowed over 60 yards on the ground to a running back this year through 15 weeks. That's a stupid stat. That is really good. It's hard to
You're going to see like 20 carries from Brian Robinson for about 25 yards.
Yeah.
Maybe 40.
That's what I was going to say at first, but I was like, that might be too high.
Their week could be saved with a touchdown, but we're not banking on that, man. Not against this tough defense. You're starting Terry McLaurin. Jahan Dotson, if you started him more times than you didn't when he was healthy, you'd probably be happy because I feel like he catches a touchdown every damn time he plays, right?
I can't get over the fact. I can't get over the fact, guys, that Zach Wilson has now been benched for over the 5th quarterback now? Mike White, Joe Flacco, Josh Johnson, now Chris Strevler. They
that sucks, man.
Pick for Zach Wilson. I'm sorry, Jets fans, but Zach Wilson does not seem to be the guy. He may be in the future, but man, this is brutal.
I don't think he has the future.
He could have.
QBs can turn around. Look at Geno Smith.
He
got to the Pro Bowl this year, and we all made fun of him. So things can't.
How about that Pro Bowl for the NFC?
Yes. Yeah.
Did
you see that CMC didn't even get in the Pro Bowl?
Yeah,
and he leads all running backs and all-purpose yards.
Good segue, Michael Platt, into the San Francisco 49ers offense with the CMC top. But we're not going to talk about him because we know we're starting him. I want to talk about Purdy. With all the weather bullshit going on,
Purdy.
Is he a realistic starting option at quarterback this week in your regular 12-team leagues?
He's fluttering around it. He's probably, if I was doing the rankings, I'd probably be having him at around 13, 14, honestly, because of the weapons. It gives him a higher floor. I don't think the ceiling's great because of the weather, like you said.
Where you got him, Ike?
Like 20s.
Really?
He doesn't have to do much. He won't have to do much.
That's the thing, but the guy's had 2 touchdowns in each of his starts, and he's had 3 a rushing touchdown in his first start. So
that's true.
There is a solid floor there. The weapons are really good. You got Debo, you got Ayuk.
Debo's out, I'm assuming, right?
I even know if I don't think he's got officially ruled out. He is questionable.
But pretty much Brock Purdy has ruined the value of he's only ruined the value of Brandon Ayuk.
Killed him.
So
he's also ruined the value of Jimmy Garoppolo, in my opinion, because it looks like any quarterback can run in this offense.
You can start Kittle for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Kittle is the must start in this offense. Ayuk, it's not. Yeah, like you said, like it's not looking good. And if you can go away from him this week, I definitely would. And then our last and final game for Saturday night, we got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. Big news for Philadelphia fans is no Jalen Hurts this week. It is the mustache mania all over again. And Ike, I'm gonna switch up the question here for you too. Is he?
Yeah, this was gonna be an easy one.
Is he a streaming option this week with all the weather concerns in the dome in Dallas? I guess it's not a dome; it's retractable roof, but you know what I mean. Enclosed environment. There we go.
Super flex, yeah. He's in that territory, but I wouldn't be playing him in 12 teamers. Don't be silly. Come on. I'm sure you can find a better option.
What if you lost Jalen Hurts and you're looking at Jared Goff, you're looking at Derek Carr, you're looking at
I would still do Jared Goff.
Would you play Minshew over Derek Carr?
I'd have to think about that one. Who the Raiders play?
They play the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think there's a lot of emotion behind this game for the Steelers because if you haven't heard, with the passing of Franco. Harris, yeah, NFL legend, Pittsburgh Steelers legend. I think they're doing a memorial for the Immaculate Reception for the 50-year anniversary. They had it planned before even Franco's unfortunate death. But I think there's a lot of emotion here behind the Steelers, and I'm a little skeptical about the Raiders this week, just because I do think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to come out and punch the Raiders in the mouth.
They can be beat in the air though, so if you don't believe in like what Michael Plant said, where like they're playing for something,
because they're all humans, just like us.
Because they could be beat through the air. Devontae can get loose easily, so and Darren Waller looked good too, so.
Mm-hmm.
Something to think about.
It's in Vegas, right? It's in Vegas.
We might as well just do that game preview now since we moved all the way to that. We might as well.
It's in Pittsburgh. It's not supposed to be the greatest of weather.
Yeah,
that was my other thing.
Could be a Najee day there for Pittsburgh, man.
Well, I was gonna ask Ike here, like I'm like Brock Purdy or Derek Carr.
Don't ask me that. I had to think. Or no. Oh no, he asked me Gardner Minshew or Derek Carr. Yeah. I would go Derek Carr. Fuck.
Because we were talking the Eagles.
I would go Derek Carr over Brock Purdy because, like I said, I think the Steelers can be beat through the air, and Devontae can get loose for a deep touchdown. Darren Waller can too as well.
Yeah, I feel you there. But back to this Eagles offense. Like, now I'm going to give you the question I got for you. Are we sitting Miles Sanders now after he keeps kicking us in the dong?
The way to beat the Cowboys is through the running game. Jalen Hurts isn't taking any carries because he's out. Gardner Minshew ain't running more than maybe 5 times. So Sanders should be started.
It's a hunch, but I think Sanders could have a good week. It could be one of those boom weeks for him.
15, 20 carries easily.
I honestly think that he could possibly be involved in the passing game more because Minshew's not going to take off like Jalen Hurts. I think that Miles Sanders just might get a slight uptick in value. Say with Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell.
I was going to say that might go with Boston Scott or Kenny Gainwell unless he's
out. That's right. It could go to any one of those three, but it's a very good possibility. If Miles Sanders, we know he's on the field more. He plays majority of the snaps. So, I mean, in negative game script, majority of the snaps, I mean, I think there's more PPR value there possibly.
Yep. You're starting Devonta Smith. You're starting A.J. Brown or – real quick, 10 seconds. We're rolling Goddard out there, right?
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah, you roll out Goddard, especially with how tight ends.
Last time Gardner Minshew subbed for Jalen Hurts last year, he targeted Goddard, and Goddard got 2 touchdowns or something like that. Saw it on NFL Network.
Fantastic. Our first Sunday game of the week, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Miami Dolphins. I'm giving you a weird question here, Ike. What did you think about this one? Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Christian Watson, you got all 3. Pick 2, go.
Hey, Aaron Jones and Christian Watson.
Really? Even after what we saw from A.J. Dillon last week, huh?
Dolphins can be beat through the air.
And on the ground.
They can be beaten anyway. But if they're going to be beat on the ground, I think it's more Aaron Jones because he might be more healthy. But you got to keep that in mind. If Aaron Jones still has that questionable tag all the way up until Sunday, which I don't know if he did or not, but A.J. Dillon might not be a bad option in the flex. You can play all three, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you can play all three. And those are the three really you only want to play in this offense. Mike, jumping over to the Dolphins side of things, obviously 2 is fine. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, yes. If Jeff Wilson is ruled out again, do we love Raheem Mostert in this matchup?
I mean, typically, yeah. Mostert is the one that killed the Packers, way back, getting the 4 touchdowns in the NFC Championship game. So it's not like he's not done it before. But I do think the Packers defense has kind of, I know I'm a little homer here, but the defense has stiffened up a little bit, but they can still be had on the ground. But the big bugaboo right now for the Packers is being had through the air. And being that the Dolphins are really good throwing the deep passes with Tyreek Hill, those intermediate passes with Hill and Jalen Waddle, I think they're going to have a tough day at the office there trying to cover those two. And I'm thinking Mostert may not be needed, but he is still got to be started because there is a lot of touchdown upside here if Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle get tackled down, in the red zone.
Agreed.
Yeah, 100% there. Next game, we got the Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Rams, and
this one's easy.
Gross game this is, yeah. Just Murray and Judy if Russ plays like
Dolchik. You can play Dolchik.
Oh,
I'm gonna shy away. I'm gonna shy away after what the asshole did to me last week.
He's not an asshole.
Yeah,
he's not an asshole.
When you have Eric Sauber catching touchdowns instead
of
that
was Tomlinson, I think.
One of the long-haired goofballs, man.
They all do long-haired goofballs.
You start your tight ends against the Cardinals this year. They allow the most to tight ends by far. So it was the smart play. The process was correct with Dolchich last week, Dylan. You can't hurt yourself for that. You can't, blame yourself for that. It's just a different tight end scored. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
so I don't think Dolchich is honestly worth a start in like 12 teamers or 10 teamers, being how bad the landscape is, being at the fact that they use multiple tight ends. It's kind of like a Seahawks approach where they use Noah Fant, they use Will Dissly, they use who's the other guy I can't think of, but they use multiple tight ends. So I don't know if Parkinson. Thank you. So Dolchich, I'd be looking for a different option. Hopefully you got lucky. Somebody, dropped Dallas Goedert. You got him off the waiver wire or, Darren Wall or whatnot. I've heard of a couple leagues, people got lucky there, but I'd be looking elsewhere than Dolchich. Sorry.
Yep. Heading over to the Rams side of things, this offense isn't good, even with Baker there either. But are we able to start trusting Cam Akers for like what feels like the 16th time in the past 2 seasons?
No.
It's getting there, dude. Go look at his stats. It's getting
there. I get it. There's some touchdowns inflating it.
And
there's some touchdowns inflating it.
Dave Kluge tweeted something I saw too on Twitter about how he's rating really good on PFF right now as well with like his elusive rates and stuff, which is surprising because we kind of shit on him on this podcast saying that he stinks.
He did get 75% of the snaps last week. But like you said, this offense stinks. There's not much PPR value to be had with him because this offense just stinks. Baker, we know don't throw to the running backs really. He didn't do it with CMC. He didn't really do it with. I guess he kind of did it with Kareem Hunt in Cleveland just because that was the design of the offense at the time. So that doesn't really uptick his value right there. So it's not a trust. It's a desperation play. Because you do not want to be starting your players against the Broncos. They are a tough defense. Unless you're the Chiefs, the Bills, sometime a high octane, the Eagles. Yeah, go ahead, start against the Broncos. But a middling offense like the Rams, probably worse than middling. You don't really want to be starting anybody on that offense against the Broncos, even in a dome.
You guys in on Higbee this week or nah?
No.
He got a touchdown last week.
Would you rather have Higbee or Dulcich?
That's what he is. That's what he is.
I'd rather have Higbee. I'd rather start Higbee.
In that case, Higbee.
He did me dirty, man. Yeah.
In that case, Higbee is on the field 80. Well, we'll just call it 90% of the time. It's 88.9. Dulcich, let me look at him real quick. 68% of the time. So there's just more opportunities for Tyler Higbee, even though these offenses are pretty much like dead even with how bad they suck.
Yeah, totally.
It's just it's one of those more volume kind of situations in Higbee, I guess, because Baker's now there. They can actually throw the ball to the tight end. Who was the last guy that was starting for him? I can't remember. They weren't even throwing the ball.
Bryce Perkins and
thank you,
John Wofford.
Perkins. Wofford, you got away with Higbee. Perkins, you can't. Baker, it looks like you can get away with Higbee if you're in the middling. If you're in that zone where you're just choosing between touchdown dependent tight ends.
Sure. Sunday night football, guys. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Arizona Cardinals. Look like you got a Bucks question.
Finally, man.
I'll let you take it wherever you want. Talk about whatever you want. Who is the odd man out here? Who are you playing? What's going on here?
Gotta play Tom Brady, obviously. Like you said in your question, it's probably the best possible matchup for most of the Buccaneers. Should play Godwin, should play Evans. Cade Otton's probably worth a stream in deeper leagues because Cameron Brate's still around, and who knows with that.
And the matchup for the Cardinals.
As for the running backs, that's tough. Cardinals give up a lot of catches to running backs, so I would probably lean.
Right? They both catch it a little
Which
bit.
means then if you got to lean towards who has the higher touchdown potential, and I think it's Fournette. So I'd probably play Fournette over White. So there's a lot of people you can start in this offense, but I wouldn't start Gage or Julio or.
What about one of the tight ends? Arizona's brutal against tight ends. We talk about it every week.
I said Cade Allen could be streamed deep leagues because Cameron Brate's still around.
Sure. Yep.
And this Keifert dude or whatever the dude with the K name, he keeps getting snaps too all of a sudden.
Gotcha. But yeah, you're starting a whole hell of a lot of people.
You've been waiting for a week like this for your Tampa Bay player, so
hopefully they just don't give you a letdown though. And JJ Watt.
You've been saying there's a lot.
What if JJ Watt just completely wrecks the game like he blew up the game in the first half last week against Denver or whoever they played? But but I'm still 100% comfortable with Tampa Bay's offense this week. Just not any other week because they stink Ike still. Mike. Arizona, Trey McSorley, quarterback. We're still not benching Newcock. I can't talk. Hopkins.
No, you're not. If anything, maybe you can bench Marquise Brown. You can, bench. I don't think if anyone's starting him, Trey McBride. You can only start James Conner and Nuke from this offense with McSorley and Colt McCoy, I guess, for the rest of the year when he comes back healthy. It's not great. It's definitely a downtick in ceiling for Hopkins, but he got 11 targets still last week. Still got 60 yards. So, like I said, not a lot of yards to be had. Probably not going to score a lot of touchdowns here down the stretch, but there's going to be a lot of volume to be had because this defense is so bad. And the Buccaneers are going to score a lot probably on them. But we say that probably, and it's a big probably because
you never know.
The Buccaneers are. Yeah, we don't know.
Exactly. And our last game of the week, Los Angeles Chargers, Indianapolis Colts on Monday Night Football. It's just a long weekend of football, guys. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. This Chargers offense, you're starting Herbert, even though he disappointed last week. You're starting Eckler. You're starting Keenan Allen. Is it Mike Williams over Josh Palmer still?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And then
Palmer can be, if you're in deeper league, Palmer can be used.
Mm-hmm. And then who would you rather have? Would you rather have Gerald Everett or would you rather have like Dulcich?
Oh, Gerald Everett by far.
Gerald Everett or Tyler?
He's top 10 tight end.
Gerald Everett or Tyler Higbee, same thing?
Yeah, Gerald Everett.
Yeah.
Okay. Then jumping over to the Colts side of things, Nick Foles, this has got to be his last hurrah, right? Matt Ryan's he's trying to catch Zach Wilson on how many times he could be benched in a season. He's been benched twice now, and it's to Big Dick Nick Foles.
Joining Mitch Trubisky in that one.
What do we expect here, Mike, from this Colts offense? You're not sitting Michael Pittman. I'm gonna assume he's gonna be just fine.
It's a loaded question. I won't lie.
Yeah,
it's a loaded question that I know the answer to.
No Jonathan Taylor,
I
pal.
expect the same thing we've gotten to see all year. A bad offense run by a bad quarterback that's immobile, where the offensive line is struggling, and he's going to get sacked. He's going to be under pressure.
Get bad targets.
Pittman's going to get bad targets. He might get some more deep targets because, from what I remember, Nick Foles still has a better arm.
What did he do last week? I think he had 10 catches for like 64 yards or something.
14 targets.
It's like a generic Nuke. Yeah, it's like generic Nuke Hopkins right there.
He also had 30 rush yards. He had half his rush yards on half the amount of whatever it is rush yards.
So this offense, I mean, if you expect more from this offense with Nick Foles as your starter, you're as naive as a child. That
you should be talking to ESPN because ESPN's giving Chargers one less defensive point. Michael Pittman's getting one more projected point. Deion Jackson.
Yeah.
All because Nick Foles gets in.
They have to. All because he's got such a.
I mean, I guess you can't get any worse than Matt Ryan, but you still can, though.
Noodle arm Matt Ryan to the Rocket Nick Foles.
You could still get worse because you could be the Jets starting using Strevler.
No shit.
Yeah, a lot of teams are down bad at quarterback right now, man.
Yeah, a lot of injuries.
Down bad.
But yeah, just before we hop on.
It's sad when Sam Darnold's like, not a bad option.
Yuck. But yeah, just one more update on this Thursday night game. We got Jacksonville leading 16-3.
So that's been the score since
we came on. I think it's this second half's just kind of been blah. But yeah, guys, before we finish up, I just want to remind you, please hit the like button. Please subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel. We appreciate it. There is going to be no Sunday show this week, right? There's only 3 games. I don't really want to do one on Christmas Eve, to be honest with you.
No.
You guys agree with that?
I mean, we can probably do one Monday.
We're done.
We could probably do one Monday.
Yeah.
We got one question.
We might as well. Let's finish on that. We got Raheem Mostert or Tyler Algier full PPR.
I think I think it's a lot closer if Jeff Wilson plays, but yes, it's Mostert if Wilson's out.
Agree. I think it's Mostert either way, Mike. But I agree with you that it's closer if Jeff Wilson's there for sure.
Yeah, the matchup is more in his favor. I mean, like I said, the volume. If you go back to what we said, our preview volume's not really going to be there. I think this week for Mostert, but the touchdowns might be.
Yep. But that wraps it up, guys. I just want to wish you all happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we'll be back for championship week next week. Talk to you later, guys.
Peace out.